haven't always been a private person. In fact, I've always been quote unquote quite transparent and open, where I shared everything about myself, because for me that helped build connections with people. Because when you're being open and transparent and sharing information, you're being vulnerable and bringing your guard down. But I learned firsthand how oversharing can be detrimental, from information being used against me to pushing people away, and the overall impact it had on my mental state. But at the same time, it's important to have an outlet or a safe space where you can share your deepest and darkest, or everything that you want to share. And therapy is that safe space for me, because it's confidential and it's an objective person who doesn't know me and doesn't owe me anything, and I can be vulnerable. I can let my guard down and speak about anything and everything that I want to talk about without fear of judgment, without fear of that information being used against me. As a result, there are 5 things which I only share and disclose to my therapist, which has brought so much peace into my life. If you're new here, hello, my name is Lorraine and my channel is Lovely Lux, and I share all things self-improvement, affordable luxury lifestyle, and also a dash of motherhood. If you love all that, I hope that you do, then subscribe to my channel, press the notification bell, and join the family. I just want to add a disclaimer that I'm not telling everybody to go out there and get a therapist, even though therapy is invaluable to me, okay? What I am saying and suggesting is that we need to stop oversharing. There's certain information or certain aspects of our lives that we shouldn't be sharing with everybody willy-nilly, that we need to find a safe space and a safe outlet where we can become vulnerable, okay? There are so many reasons why we should keep certain information private, with the most important one being no one cares. And that's not even in a harsh way or in a mean way, but that's because everyone is focused on themselves and their own life. And whether people will admit it or not, we actually all have an innate selfishness where we do put ourselves first without even realizing it. So that information that might seem so important, valuable, or sacred to you might not be as important to the person that you're sharing with. And unfortunately, this is even to the people that are closest to you. So whether that's family members, your partner, friends, even if people love you, care about you, and want the best for you, that is not an invitation to overshare things about your life and to share every single aspect in your life. Because when it does boil down to it, no one cares, or should I say, no one cares as much as you do about that information. And that's why sometimes where we share information with people and we tell them to keep it private and to not share with anybody, we then hear it being repeated by somebody else, or it then comes back to us that that person disclosed that information. And this is not to say that everyone can't keep a secret or everyone doesn't know the value of keeping things private. It just means that what's valuable to you is not going to have the same value as somebody else. The other reason to be mindful of the kind of information that you share, not to share everything, is that not everyone is well equipped or prepared to handle the information that you have to share with them. When we're sharing information, especially sensitive information, we're doing so whether we are seeking validation or whether we want some advice or help in general. But just because someone is close to you and cares about you and knows you, it doesn't mean that they're well equipped to handle that information with the care and the sensitivity that is required. And this often means that when we share information, we don't often get the result or response or guidance that we were seeking, which often leaves us feeling resentful that people don't care or they don't want the best for us. But that is not the case. They are just not qualified, or perhaps just not in the best place for them to support you and to guide you or validate it the way that you need to be or the way that you're seeking. The last reason to not share certain information or to not overshare is that when people are oversharing or sharing certain aspects of their lives, it just subconsciously makes them the center of attention or the topic of discussion all the time, okay? For example, there's always that one friend or that one person that there's something always happening in their life, whether it's something good or whether it's something bad. You know that when you speak to that friend on the phone or when you meet up with that person, the conversation is going to be dominated by them sharing everything about their life, where it kind of puts you in a more subordinate position because you're always supporting that person, you're always being there for that person, being happy for that person. You're kind of playing a supporting role in that relationship or in that situation. So that's why it's important to be mindful when we're having conversations or discussions with people that we are not oversharing, because that can sometimes unintentionally make you the center of attention and leaves other people feeling unheard and leaves other people feeling as though they are the supporting role in your dynamic and in your relationship. Okay, so with that said, the first thing that I only share with my therapist is trauma of any kind, whether it's childhood trauma, whether it's trauma that I've experienced as an adult, because like I mentioned before, okay, not everyone is well equipped to handle that kind of information, okay? I have been in a situation where I have slightly overshared when it came to my trauma, and that actually pushed people away because they just didn't know how to deal with that information. And that doesn't even make them bad people because they weren't able to handle my trauma. A lot of people in this situation would say that people should accept us as we are, the good, the bad, the ugly, and that's absolutely true and correct. But the people in your life are not there to be your therapist and are not there to be your counselor because one, they're not trained to do so, and two, it is not fair to put people in that position. It doesn't mean that we can't make references of our trauma, and what I mean by that is if certain things upset you or trigger you, we can identify that, okay, I don't like when you speak to me like this, okay? We then don't have to go into detail and say, I don't like the fact that you scream at me or shout at me because when I grew up, this is what I witnessed in my childhood home. It is not that person's job to unpack what happened to you as a child, to unpack that trauma, to help you understand it, okay? This is something that I feel that we need to do ourselves as individuals without imposing it onto other people and without putting people in uncomfortable situation. And not even that, sometimes people unconsciously or consciously use information against that, especially when it comes to trauma, where maybe in an argument, you know, someone might say, well, the reason why you act like this is because this happened to you as a child, or the reason why you are behaving like this is because you experienced this growing up, or you experienced this in a previous relationship, which might be or might not be the case, but people should create a perspective or an opinion about you based on what they are seeing, based on your behavior, not based on the information that you have given them. So trauma is one of the things that we need to leave in therapy and not bring to day-to-day conversations, day-to-day lives, or our relationships and friendships. The next thing that I only share with my therapist now, okay, are my aspirations. And this is not the usual, don't tell people your goals or what you want to do until you have achieved them. This is because when we have a goal or an aspiration and we're now starting to work towards it, we're operating from a high level of fear, self-doubt, and imposter syndrome, because that's what happens when we're pushing boundaries, and that's what happens when we are now trying to get onto that next level. So when we share our goals or aspirations, there are a few reasons why we're doing that. We are seeking validation from people that this is a good idea, this is something that we should go for, you know, we'll be really good at it, we'll be really successful at it. We are also seeking some kind of troubleshooting or or advice, okay, if we're not so sure how to go about achieving that goal or aspiration, where somebody can say, okay, this is how you can do it, this is how I have done it, this is how I've seen other people do it. Or at the same time, we are seeking some kind of objectivity, okay, where we can weigh up the pros and the cons of us going after these goals and these aspirations. And sometimes when we tell our friends and family, because they love us so much and they don't want to hurt our feelings, they can just be like, yeah, go for it, yeah, you can do it, without actually looking at the fact. And this is why it's important to unpack your goals and aspirations in therapy, again, because that is an objective person who doesn't know you, who owes you nothing, who's not going to tell you anything just to make you happy. It is a safe space where you can explore your fears of trying this new thing and stepping outside of your comfort zone, okay, to be able to separate fear from what it is that you want to do, to be able to see fear for what it actually is. I actually done a video of steps that I took to stop self-doubt from ruining my life, so make sure you guys check it out if you want to. It's important to actually see fear for what it actually is, to be able to act and to move even when you're afraid, even when you're scared. But also at the same time, it's important to have that objective opinion. Sometimes hearing an objective opinion or coming to an objective opinion comes better when it comes to someone that you don't know than when it comes to someone that you know, that is close to you, that you care about, because there are emotions involved there, and sometimes it can be difficult to separate logic and emotions. So what somebody could be telling you that cares about you could be absolutely true, could be absolutely right, but perhaps the way in which they're saying it could not be constructive and could not be conducive. And because there's an emotional attachment with that person, you're now more focused about how that message was relayed. You're now more focused about how they said something to you, as opposed to the actual message or information that they've given you. But if you actually unpack it in that safe environment where that therapist has the skills to be able to take care of your emotions and to safeguard your emotions whilst you are objectively unpacking your goals and aspirations, and at the same time learning the skills and the steps that you can take to move with the fear and not to eradicate it, no matter what it is that you want to do. And for me, this is particularly important at the beginning stages of achieving your goals and your aspirations, because this is your most vulnerable. It's not to say that you should not speak about your goals or your aspirations whatsoever. There will come a point in time where you will feel comfortable, confident within yourself to now bring other people within the journey, and only you yourself will know when that is, so that if someone is to say, oh, I don't think that's a good idea, or is to not agree or have the same vision as you, you're not going to be moved by that person's words or opinions, because you have already done the work. You are now in a better place to be able to handle maybe certain criticism or maybe the way in which people deliver certain information. The next thing that I only share with my therapist is family disputes, okay? Show me a family that doesn't go through trials and tribulations, and I will say that they're lying, okay? In any family, no matter if it's a happy family or a not so happy family, okay, you will have ups and downs, but that's not to say that you should go around flapping your gums to everybody about, you know, this person did this and this person didn't do this, okay? Because for one, it's just not you that's attached to that information. You are sharing other people's information, you are sharing other people's story when you are telling your friends or maybe other family members or whoever about your family disputes, okay? Certain things should just be kept in house But at the same time, like I mentioned before, sometimes we do need an outlet and a safe space to be able to express ourselves and express our emotions, and also identify perhaps why certain things happened within that family dynamic. The other reasons why I don't share family disputes with other people, sometimes disputes, especially family disputes, okay, say a lot more about you than they do about the other person, okay? Sometimes how we have reacted in that situation, what we have said or not said, or done and not done, can also say a lot about who we are as people. When we are with our family, we are at our most comfortable, okay? Because these are people that we know really well. They know us really well. We are really comfortable with them, okay? So in arguments, when we're not happy about something, we express ourselves freely and authentically. So this is why taking these family disputes in a more safe environment like therapy or counseling is a better way of dealing with the situation. Because sometimes it's like having a mirror being put in front of you. It's easy to see when someone has done wrong, when it's them doing wrong, when we're looking at them and we're not looking inwards. But I found that understanding family dynamics goes a long way to self-discovery, goes a long way to understanding how we are as people, okay? So if we bring that information to other people, we are bringing our family's dirty laundry, so to speak, to other people, which is not fair on our family. But also sometimes that's not the best place or platform to be able to vent, express ourselves. Instead, we need to sit back and thoroughly unpack the situation, thoroughly unpack what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and how we can move forward. Okay, the next thing that I only share with my therapist now, okay, because I used to share this information a lot with people, is intimate relationship history. And this goes for new partners or with friends. I have had situations where information that I have shared about my previous intimate relationship, whether it was previous romantic relationships or platonic relationships, used against me, where people have thrown that information in my face, where I might have been commenting on certain aspects of their behavior or giving them advice of what to do or not to do in a situation. And like I said previously, people should base their perspectives and opinions on you on your behavior, on what they can see you doing or what they can see you saying, not on the information that you give them. Listen, pillow talk is dangerous and can come back to bite you in the future. Sometimes we get so comfortable that we end up revealing information about our previous relationships or previous situations with current partners or even friends, when that is none of their business and they don't even need to know that information. You could innocently just tell someone how you were previously cheated on in your previous relationship, where somebody can then turn around a week later, a month later in an argument and say, well, that's why you were cheated on. I'm not saying that everyone can be that mean-spirited, but even if somebody doesn't voice their opinion or their thoughts about the information that you have provided, they can still base an opinion about it, okay? They could still come to a conclusion about them where they're thinking, okay, so why did this happen, okay? What was the context of the situation? But better yet, why did this person allow this to happen? Why did this person sit there in that relationship for 2 or 3 years whilst have been cheated on and accept it over and over again? What does it say about them? Does that mean that I can do what I want to this person and they will accept it and they will tolerate it? Subconsciously, they will come to a conclusion. Subconsciously, they will use that information against them, even when they don't even realize that they're using that information. The intimate information about your previous relationships or even previous friendships, this is your your opportunity to reflect and unpack what happened in that relationship, why that relationship broke down, why certain things happened, why you allowed certain things to happen, okay, and in what context in which they happened. So you can not only learn from that relationship, but you can heal from it, so that when you're going into a new relationship, you are emotionally secure, equipped, and healed, that you can put your best foot forward without having to drag your past into that relationship, or without having to accept or tolerate certain things that you might have tolerated in a previous relationship in this relationship, by imposing that on them, by speaking about it. And you're leaving no room to comparison, one, from yourself, where you're comparing your old relationship to the new relationship, but also you're leaving no room to comparison with your new partner or your new prospective partner, where they are not comparing this relationship with your previous relationship. Right, the next thing that I now only share with my therapist is my downfalls. Have you ever noticed, especially on social media, when people share bad news or things that have gone wrong, the amount of traction and engagement that post or video will get compared to when people share good news? Another reason why news outlets and propaganda focus on the terrible things that are happening in the world, okay? People tend to pay more attention and to care about when bad things are happening as opposed to when good things are happening. So knowing that and realizing that people tended to be more present or to be more visible when I was going through some kind of downfall compared to when I was going through a high, compared to when things were really going well in my life, okay? And this made me think, do people actually care? Are they genuinely interested, or are they just here for the team? One thing about all of us as people is that we are all curious beings, okay? That doesn't make us bad people. It just means that we just have something in our brain that just makes us really curious and really interested to know more information. So if you share information about your downfall or your negatives, okay, there's going to be much more of a curious spark in people's head. So as a way of just eliminating or not being able to identify if people are genuinely interested or they're just curious, I just share my downfalls with my therapist, okay? Because again, it is a safe space. They can safeguard my emotions and my feelings. It is literally their job to help me when I'm down, to help me pick myself back up again, okay, to help me again unpack the situation that I'm in so that I can move away from it, so that I can become better equipped and stronger to deal with that situation. I want to reiterate again that this by no means is me saying that you now need to go out there and invest in a therapist. This is about knowing what information to share and not to share, but most importantly, who to share it with. Do me a favor, like this video, because it really helps me out by getting shared to more people who hopefully find this video as valuable as you have. Comment down below and let us know what information that you keep private or you share with people that you trust or you feel safe to do so. If you come all this way, thank you so much, but do not click off from this video without subscribing to my channel, pressing that notification bell, and make sure that you check out this video, because I'm sure you're going to find it just as valuable as this one. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, lovelies.